Hello everyone, my name is Molly, this is Meet Me at the Bookshelf, and today we're going to be talking about sorcery and seduction. Sorcery and Seduction is a new collab series that I am starting with my dear friend Rachel over at the channel Reads with Rachel. And in this collab series, she and I are going to be recommending each other books. This year, both Rachel and I are prioritizing reading out of our comfort zone and out of our preferred genre. Rachel reads a ton of fantasy. It's her all-time favorite genre. And this year, she wanted to branch out and read more romance books. I, on the other hand, read a ton of romance, but what I don't read a lot of is fantasy. And while I have read and enjoyed some fantasy, I haven't read enough of it to really hone in on what I like about it, my favorite tropes, my favorite storylines, things like that. And while Rachel and I prefer different genres, we do have some overlap in stories that we've both read and enjoyed, and I do feel like she knows my taste pretty well. So in an effort to help each other with that goal of expanding our reading preferences, we decided we would start a collab series in which we would pick a specific trope or theme, and she would recommend me a fantasy book that includes that trope or theme, and I would recommend her a romance. So for the first installment of this collab series, she and I decided to go with the guardian or protector trope. This trope can of course be found in many different genres of books, but also in other media as well. I personally remember growing up watching the movie The Bodyguard in the 90s with Whitney Houston, and that is probably the earliest memory I have of seeing this trope portrayed in media. I know that often this trope gets talked about in relation to romance books specifically, so someone is put in charge of guarding another person and those two people fall in love. But I also really enjoy this trope in terms of familial relationships or found family relationships, mentor and mentee relationships. They don't always have to end in a romantic or sexual way to be satisfying. I love this trope and I really enjoy seeing it used for a variety of reasons. I really enjoy the whole forced proximity thing where two people are forced to be in close quarters together, especially people who don't know each other that well. I think it makes for really interesting dynamics in terms of getting to know the characters with the characters, and you kind of see that trust start to build, which I think is really interesting. There's also usually kind of like a slow burn aspect to it, and when we're talking specifically about romance, I love the whole slow burn thing. So a lot of times when you are dealing with the protector protectee kind of dynamic, there's a lot of tension and a lot of slow burn and a lot of build up, and that's just something that I love seeing not only in books but in all media as well. So now that I've talked a little bit about the particular trope that we selected for this installment, I want to talk to you guys about the books that Rachel and I selected for each other to read. Now for this series, Rachel and I wanted to be very intentional in our recommendations in terms of diversity. We both wanted to make a concentrated effort to recommend each other books written by and or featuring characters that were either part of the BIPOC population or part of the LGBTQIA+ population. As two queer gals ourselves, we know the value of representation in our literature, and so that is something that we really want to prioritize moving forward in this series. So the book that Rachel selected for me is The Never Tilting World by Rin Chapeko. I've already started this book and I am about 15% into it. I can't tell you much in terms of plot because I myself don't know a ton about this book. When Rachel had suggested it to me, I'd never even heard of it. So all I know about it obviously is that it's a fantasy and it includes the protector guardian trope, but I also know that it does feature a sapphic romance. But it is really good so far, and I'm hoping that I'm really gonna love it. And the story that I chose for Rachel is Guarding Temptation by Talia Hibbert. This is actually a shorter length romance novella. I did read this last year and I did enjoy it. I love Talia Hibbert. I love her stories. I've read quite a few of them at this point. But this story follows a woman who is gotten herself in a little bit of trouble writing an article, I believe, about Brexit, and it's very controversial, and she ends up getting death threats and people threatening her life and her safety. And the person that she kind of trusts to protect her throughout all of this is one of her brother's friends. It was very steamy and very fun, and again, a quick read, so I'm hoping that Rachel enjoys it. I know she is not a fan of the shirtless cover thing, and that's like a little bit weird for people when they're not used to reading romance, but hopefully she'll get over that and really enjoy the story, and I can't wait to see her thoughts on it and share my thoughts with her and all of you on the Never Tilting World. I will of course leave Rachel's video linked down below, so go ahead and go watch that. Let us know in the comments some tropes that you would like to see featured in this series in the future. I'd really love to know what you guys think. I hope you're as excited as we are, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!